right, for more on this from London, we have with us Chris Doyle, Director of CABU Council for Arab-British Understanding and the current lead spokesperson for CABU. Thank you so much for joining us on WION. What does the fall of Hama signify at this point?
Well, it signifies that the rebel offensive, these myriad groups who have come together to take Aleppo, still has momentum. Hama is a major city, perhaps the fourth largest in Syria, a center for agriculture, and it lies only roughly about 50 kilometers north of Homs, which is the third largest city. And here, if they now move on to Homs, that actually controls access to the Mediterranean from Syria. So it would cut vital supply lines for the Syrian regime based in Damascus to the south in terms of resupply and so forth. So this momentum has not been checked. Many thought that perhaps the regime, with of course the backing of Russia, of Iran, of affiliated militia groups, would have done so by now. And I think that now we can see a really, for the first time in a long, long time, a really direct challenge to the survival of the Assad regime. For these groups to have made such progress in only a matter of weeks must surely have created huge jitters in Damascus. There must be a feeling of unease, and one wonders how many others might join such rebel groups, how many might defect from the army. But also, I think this is also very important. Despite all of this, and despite the abysmal record of the regime, there's still a lot of nervousness and fear for Syrian civilians. They're not sure about these rebel groups. Some of them are quite hardline Islamist, authoritarian, like Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which used to have an affiliation with Al-Qaeda. It says now that it is far more inclusive. It's going to treat many of the minorities much better and give them full rights. But there will be also a struggle for the governance of these areas that these groups are now in control of. How will they be governed? How will they be run? Will there be any bloodletting, revenge, and so forth? It's a very, very delicate situation.
And what are the options for the Syrian army and Assad? With casualties mounting, how will the current offensive impact civilian population?
Well, you have to remember that the Syrian civilian population is living under sanctions. It's living, really with all the consequences of the war that started with the peaceful protests back in 2011. It's an economy that is smashed. So it's been a struggle for survival with or without the rebel advances that we've seen in recent weeks. So they will be bunkering down, they will be fearful. They don't know whether there will be regime reprisals, whether there's going to be bombings of Hama, as there have been in the north around Aleppo, of civilian targets, including, as your report stated, hospitals. They don't know also whether, if these rebel groups get closer to Damascus, the capital, whether there would be even more bloodletting. So there's a lot of nervousness and uncertainty. It's not a comfortable situation. There aren't easy options for Syrian civilians in terms of fleeing, because, of course, Lebanon has been in crisis. It's not an attractive prospect to go there. And they have precious little resources to take with them.
Wow. Thank you so much for those comments and your analysis. Of course, we'll be watching this development very closely. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.